Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind, these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, here we are after market close on Wednesday, January 19th. We're going to take a look at SoFi. I feel like I should have an air horn or something here, and that I should have done a video last night. But as you know, Tuesdays are pretty tight for me, and by the time this came out, I was already in the thick of solo parenting, and so I couldn't really do much except for send out a tweet and smile. So happy to know that this bank charter has finally been chartered, and SoFi Bank information no longer, but I guess formed. So congrats to the SoFi team. To me, this is a really exciting day, mostly from the perspective, and I'll probably mention this again later, that they were able to execute on this really key component of their grand vision. I haven't talked about this in quite a while, but many, many months ago, I was droning on and on for probably several weeks about their ability to execute. And at that time, I had some concerns around them trying to sort of like boil the ocean, them taking on so much, trying to overhaul an entire huge sector with large embedded players that are very powerful and very valuable, and that it's a lot for anyone or any company to try to actually execute on a vision, right? The vision is one thing, and it's great to buy into the vision, but the ability to execute on it is a whole other thing. But to me, this restores some faith, and to me, that's a long-term restoration, right? This is a one-day nice bump. Maybe it'll roll into a few more days or weeks, who knows? But to me, this is a really nice bump in some confidence levels. And I don't know how many people are sort of digesting it this way. Maybe a lot, maybe not a lot. I don't know. But that's my take on it. I was like, oh, they did it. They can execute on some of these really hard things in very complex and compliance-heavy spaces, and they can make it happen. And it gives me a lot of encouragement for what's turning out to be a very long-holding situation. I also do want to mention, just because I had said that I would do this in my longer-term positions, I did offload my $20 January 2023 leap calls. Because they were $20 strikes, I intend to buy back leap calls, and maybe probably even further dated, and I'll let you know when I do that, just for transparency, not because I think anyone should follow anything. But the reason that I offloaded them, and I offloaded them still at a loss, was because I felt at this point for January 2023 the $20 strike was too tight in. My break even would have been, I think, close to $30, and to me, I'd rather hone in on something like the $10 or $15 strike, and maybe target 2024. I think those are out. And so I don't want to belabor this video with that, but I just wanted to mention that, because I had said many, many moons ago that I would keep folks posted as I made moves on SoFi, just again for sharing purposes. Okay, so getting into the day. Oh, I also want to mention, just because I thought it was kind of funny, you know, there had been a lot of back and forth. I felt like every time I posted something about the catalysts coming for SoFi, earnings, bank charter, you know, I know people mention the Super Bowl a lot. I actually don't know that will be that big of a deal. Maybe it will be. I don't know. But it was always funny to me how a lot of people thought the bank charter either would not be a big deal or could actually drop the price. I mean, I always thought that was an insane view, because we've seen SoFi jump many, many percentage points based on, you know, analyst coverage. So it seemed crazy to me that this wouldn't like provide, I don't know how long-term of a rocket, but at least an initial rocket. And so happy to see that was the case. Okay, now getting into today. Now, actually, if you take a look, and just to be clear, in my mind, it held up really well. And I know that it was, you know, here's the rocket launch yesterday, pull back, and then push up, and then And then here's the gap up this morning when things opened up at 4 a.m. And then we batted around in this range, right? This 402 to 466, just call it 4 to 450, or 14 to 1450 range, and then dropped it open, which I think everyone was expecting. And then we basically caught on this 1355 level, which we've had on the chart for several weeks, maybe months, and then made our way up, caught some resistance near 14. We were able to flip it and then fought with that for much of the day. Sell off into close, which again, I think most people probably would expect. So to me, it held up really well today. It made all of the logical movements. Sell off at open, stabilized. Actually, that may not have been a logical movement. So to me, that's actually the really good sign that there was this initial deep sell off, and then it was able to stabilize, push up, stabilize again, and then sell off into close. To me, the sell off at open, sell off at close were kind of givens, that was going to happen. What was going to happen in between, to me, was a really big question mark, was really going to speak volumes to how people perceived this catalyst as being just a one-day sort of flash in the pan, let's take advantage of it, or a certain slew of folks or percentage of investors, traders, who are going to come in and say, no, this stock, this company is actually worth more now. So it being down here in the 13s, 14s doesn't necessarily make sense. And so I'm going to buy it because it's a really good deal. And to me, it looks like that's what happened. Like I said, we'll see what happens in the days ahead, and we'll see the degree to which, like I had mentioned a few videos ago, my big hope here was that a catalyst would come along and would shake SoFi loose from just following around the major indices, be those the major indices in the market or its sector and its comrades. And it obviously did that today, and I'm interested to see if that persists. That to me would be one of the big wins, following this initial win. But really nice today, and also to me, the levels that we had plotted held up better than most anything. The VWAP doing a pretty good job, but it wouldn't have helped you, catch it down here at all. It would have showed you where it was getting resistance there, and it would have helped you with this and with this. But to me, I feel like the levels held up even better than most of these EMAs or MAs or VWAPs. So let's flip over to the daily, see where we're at. I have a mind to really kind of clean this up because it's a mess. And we have this big gap up now, and I know people are going to start shouting about, gaps fill 97% of the time, or, and they'll cite that article. And I'll say that, yes, given enough time, if you just say forever in the market, a stock will cross a certain price that it once left a gap at, sure. That's probably the case. But I don't, my question would be, does it come to fill it quickly? Let's say within like a month. To me, that's sort of moving through there. But also in my mind, it would have to start showing some clear drawbacks, some clear loss of strength in order to even kind of start moving toward that gap. And then obviously there wouldn't be a ton of support through that gap because there was just the big gap up and there wasn't a lot of trading happening in that space. So we'll have to see what happens. But shy of that, I don't know. There's not a lot that I want to clean up, though, because I feel like these levels are generally holding up very, very well. So I may take that all back and just say, here's where we are on the chart at the moment. I know it's a lot to look at. We're starting to fight with the 12 EMA, which is nice. If we continue to move up, I'll be most interested to see what happens when we hit the 34, because obviously we're in a bearish trend here. And so to me, the name of the game, this catalyst is really going to mean anything for a shorter term trading, like stock price stabilization or trend reversal possibility. To me, it's going to have to break through that 34 EMA, which will then open the door for a crossover, the 12 above the 34, right? So at that, right now, depending on how long it takes it to get there, right now it would be engaging with that around the $15 mark. So we'll see if that continues to come into play or not, and we'll obviously keep tracking it as the days proceed. But that's where we are. We're still quite far away from that 180 MA, mid to low 17s is where that's going to sit at the moment. So we got a ways to go before we engage with that. And to me, it's all about the EMAs at the moment. And of course, we'll be paying attention to these support and resistance levels. But basically, it's on the dollar and on the 50 cent. Right? You can mostly just think of it that way, I think. Mostly psychological levels, to be honest, is my feeling on it at the moment. But that's where I'm sitting with SoFi at the moment. It's certainly a relief, even just from the perspective of you won't have to listen to all this stupid speculation anymore. I think it was last week or the week before where I, had brought up that random day in December. It was like the first Monday of December or something like that. And there was all this hubbub about, the bank charges coming now because of so on and so forth. And I understand trying to read the tea leaves and stuff like that. I do plenty of that as well. So I'm not meaning to cast stones, but that stuff is just such a distraction, right? It can be so distracting. And that's why, to my mind, I'm sort of like, I got to just focus on the chart, kind of have an idea of what catalysts are coming up and how the reaction might be. And that's mostly because, not just because I think every catalyst needs a reaction, but I do think that SoFi has shown us that it really, really wants to react strongly to catalysts, right? And so that's why I had said, if analysts upgrades or downgrades or initiating coverage or whatever are strong swayers of price, I don't see how something like a bank charter wouldn't be, and certainly then earnings coming up, right? I would expect that to be as well. I did want to do a quick comparison. Not really a comparison. I wanted to do a quick overview of market structure, because the degree to which this does start to sort of revert to the mean in terms of the fintech sector and tech as an industry and the major indices on whole. I did want to check in and see where they are just to get bearings, right? So everything is still continuing to trend downward. The Dow actually leading that down today, down 1.6, NASDAQ close behind, and S&P close behind that. The Finex ETF that we've tracked down just barely red. So fintech actually did okay today compared to the NASDAQ. Even ARC-F, which has just tremendously struggled. Amazingly struggled. Down less than 1% today. And again, this is while the NASDAQ down 1.15. If we look at a couple of, if we want to call them comrades in the space, Upstart down 3.5% and continuing to draw down after hours. I don't know if that's real or if that will just be kind of a temporary thing. And if it is real, what's driving that? And Affirm, basically a flat day, up 0.19% and wanting to maybe drop that in the after hours and just make it a push for the day. So overall, to me, fintech slightly finally outpacing tech a little bit, and holding its ground more so than the major indices. So that's good to see. Maybe that helps to stabilize this a little bit. I don't know if it will be a flash in the pan. It's a one-day thing, obviously. These are the dangers of making daily or near daily videos, right? You kind of like bob and weave a lot. Yes, you can get some like fairly deep insight because you're tracking it so often, but also you can tend to get swayed by daily occurrences because you're paying so much attention to it. But obviously, SoFi extracted from all of that today, but it would be helpful for SoFi if it is going to make a run at overcoming these EMAs, and let's just say at this point, overtaking $15. If the fintech space on whole, on average, can be buoyed to some degree for whatever reason, whether because the market is turning around or for some other reason, which obviously I can't think of at the moment, but we'll have to see. But again, this is in the context of my actual hope is that SoFi stops following fintech around at all. And I know that eventually it will sort of hitch its wagon to it again. But for a period of time, I'd love to see a few weeks. Say, what if we got to mid-February or something, right? To Valentine's Day, let's just say that. And and we were able to act just as an independent stock, SoFi, and not just SoFi getting dragged around by the major indices and by the sector that it's in. So we'll see. But if it has that capability, this today would be, the best opportunity for it to make that break. But we'll have to just sort of hang on and see. All right, folks, I'm going to cut off the diatribe there. And congrats if today was a good day for you. I know it may not feel like, a good day to gain 13% when you've maybe been holding in the 20s or something, and now you're down, I don't know, 60, 70%. So no, not that much, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Regardless, congrats to SoFi. I'm really glad to see this. I have strong encouragement and hopes that you all can make this grand vision a reality, and we'll be here to watch it happen. All right, folks. I hope that you had an enjoyable day today and that the rest of your week goes well. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.